Så, tack. All right, yo guys, what's up? I see you're a few here now. Please like, if you haven't already. You were good at that. You were fast. Very, very, very well done. Very well, difficult for a Swede. We just have one V sound, the V, not the O sound like that. How are you guys? Today, I guess good morning to the Americans, good evening to the Europeans, good quite late night to the Australians and good something else to people in other places. Today I actually have quite a few questions prepared. I got some on Instagram, I got a couple here on my post on YouTube. I keep reminding you guys, it's very helpful if you can ask some questions, well, during the stream, of course, but before too, so we don't have all the dead air. Yeah, I had a little intro rant I wanted to go on, something I talked about. I'll just say Dawn. Good evening, Dawn. And hello, Patricia, who says not hello only to me, but to everyone. Wow. Okay, so I did have a little rant that I wrote on Instagram today about consuming and producing. It's something I've been talking quite a bit about on this channel since this summer, about not only taking and receiving, but also giving, not just waiting for what can I take in, what can I look at, what can I buy, what can I use, what can I get from that person, but what can I give, what can I contribute to the world. That's how we're supposed to be, guys. So I just went on a little rant on my Instagram where I said, people who are on social media just to consume are the worst. It means you probably go about the rest of your life in the same way. Take, but never give. Loser behavior. Feel like I'm being an asshole? Well, good, then you'll maybe do something about it. I had to hear some difficult truths about myself from people whose opinion I value recently, and my ego did not feel good about it at all. And I too put up shields, even when I try not to in those situations. But in the end, I chose to listen closely, accept what parts of the criticism I could do better with, and I'm already a better man for it. You could do the same, or you could blame me for saying these words that make you feel uncomfortable and not change anything at all. Which route do you take? I went on, clearly I'm not saying this to be popular, but I care way less about you liking me than I care about you becoming a better version of yourself. So I'd rather tell you what you need to hear than what you like to hear. Convenient lies or harsh truths? Which one do you prefer? Harsh truths sure are harsh sometimes, but I am incredibly grateful to have people that dare to tell them to me. So I have a chance to become better. People that lie or stroke my ego just so I will feel good do absolutely nothing for me, but ensure I don't get a chance to become better. And if you don't work with social media, it obviously makes sense that you post less than someone who does. But you can still post something. You would inspire people if you shared some of your weight loss result, your fitness/health journey, your story of overcoming depression, or anything else positive that you've done. And you can also support creators whose content have helped you financially, where there are options for that. We have the super chats. Just want to remind you guys, you have the Patreon. We have the Solar Night merch store now. The link is in the description, I think, if I didn't copy it from the wrong video. But we have the merch now, so you can actually give something and get something back again. Yeah, so financially, or just sharing, commenting, and giving positive feedback. If you don't want to produce, you can help the people that you like, what they do. On that note, thank you for asking more questions on my story, asking you to do so than usual. It helps me tremendously with live streams, and you indirectly bring value to other people by making me talk about those things with that little small effort. So did I say something here? Oh yeah, I said at the end. So hopefully you're either nodding in agreement or annoyed with me at this point. If you're annoyed, it means you know I'm right, because otherwise you would feel nothing and just think that I'm wrong. So now you have a choice. Keep being annoyed and find other things to complain about me, Or so you don't have to take responsibility, or take the blow to the ego and adjust. Which one will it be? So what I mean with all of this, guys, it's like there's always nuance that can't be, I can't have an effective message and cover each and individual little thing about this, Like, of course, for instance, someone might feel like, but I provide for my family, I work, and I provide for my wife and my children, and I'm in the fucking soup kitchen twice per week, and I do this I take care of my la 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 la. Isn't it okay that I just watch some things on social media? Of course it is, but that's what I'm saying. A message like this, you can't cover every little aspect like that, because then it's not going to be effective at all. And so you see, guys, sometimes you gotta know. It does what Theo said now, or whatever, whoever you listen to. Does it really apply to me? You have to ask yourself. And if you can, without getting all emotional and butthurt about it, just see that, but he didn't quite cover Mike, but I know that I'm fine with this. Then that's another story, of course. But really, guys, it's all the people that are on social media just to watch. Just imagine, it's an extension of the way how we live our life. Is that how you go about life? You just watch others do stuff and you get something out of it, and you never do anything yourself. Is that really the point? Or are we all supposed to be giving to each other? So we have that little intro rant out of the way. Let's see. George Guzman, noon in New Jersey. Hello, everyone. What's up, George Guzman? Yeah, I don't know what language it or like where it comes from, but how do you say? Foreigner slang in Swedish, like, so not Swedish to begin with, but you say goose. That's like a chick, basically. So a Guzman would be a ladies' man, I guess. Okay, you guys, I see you're some watching, so please please ask your questions in the chat. This is funny, how I know these things are weird with the view counts, because there are different amounts of likes and people watching on the computer here and on the phone. So always confused about that. But okay, let's see, which one would I want to start with? Yeah, well, let's start with this one. It's a very general one, and it's so many things that could be like a 3-hour stream on its own if I covered every single thing. But I got asked things I have changed my mind about, or like areas where I changed my mind. So of course I update my view on things all the time. It's not so often that I completely change, of course. If you found a lot of stuff that works for you, and you feel like you have a decent worldview, you kind of understand how things are without thinking you know everything, of course. But it's just not so likely then that you will just flip completely. So I kind of put down the most prevalent things I think that I've changed. Well, since I started this channel, basically, or since I started the process. I started all of this like kind of a year before I actually made a channel. But so the first thing I put was, this is kind of with a, how do you say? You say glimten i ögat, with a spark, with a tingle in your eye or something in English. But right-wing extremism, I said, because when I was in a fallen state and very depressed and all that, I basically, the chaos, I always say that if you feel chaos, you see chaos and just see evil in the world, it's just a reflection of what you see, or a projection of what you see inside of you, and you just find something, this hate, this dread, whatever, you find some outlet for it. And me, of course, I got upset about all the stuff about, white men, blah, 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 all this bullshit, that I still, of course, don't agree with, but I just don't, I'm emotional about it. But I almost came a right-wing extremist at a point, and I just don't feel strongly about that at all. I'll say this, I started, because I felt attacked as a white male, I started thinking of that as my group, and of course I am a white male, literally, but it's not, I don't consider that like my people. My people are the good people, the people that share my, morals and values, really, and that could be, I don't know, a little black guy, I mean a younger black guy, or an older white woman, doesn't matter. I have quite a few older white woman friends for some reason, actually. Yeah, but and in related to that, God, I was always a hardcore atheist. Was a very strong identity for me. No, it can't be a God. Definitely can't be, because why would a God be doing this? Why would there be suffering? Blah, 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 blah. Of course, I'm playing God there, saying I think I know better than God, and I just believe in God now. And something related to all of this, I thought, because what often happens, I feel like, when you don't have a belief in God or in a higher power, in the universe, whatever you want to call it, whatever label you want to use for the actual thing we're talking about, when you don't believe that, and you don't truly believe there's any right and wrong more than from some kind of, robotic sense, I feel like you end up with a very Darwinistic or biological worldview. Because when I tried to make sense of the world, I felt like, okay, we're animals, we're biological creatures, so reproducing, having sex, that should make you out, that should make you good. You're winning the game, basically. So I thought that sleeping with many girls is alpha, just having sex with them, which I now think is complete bullshit. I see it for what it is. It's one thing if you have sex with someone you're in love with or in a relationship, but just having sex for the sake of having sex, like Tinder and that's like really like any other drug. You do something just for the purpose of feeling good, but you really don't accomplish anything, but in this case, drain your soul, really. So I changed my view on that completely. I think actually that's quite the opposite of being alpha. Um, I'm masculine feminine. I've kind of changed my view on gradually. Obviously, there are differences between men and women. You just have to look at us to know that, And one is dumb if you think that looks, just the body is all, like the way we look, it's physical. But I've come to realize that more and more I myself grow, that we are more the true, the like highest versions of the alpha woman and alpha male. They have a lot in common, like, yes, the man is stronger, but the woman is supposed to be strong too. And maybe the woman has more empathy naturally, but the man is supposed to have empathy too. Like, if we list traits that we think are masculine, we should ask ourselves, don't we really think women can or should be like this? And often the answer is yes, they can be. It's just the degree, right? And yeah, the opposite. It's good for men to be able to be empathetic and caring too, without being pussies, of course. But I realized, I heard someone say it, and I think it's kind of cool, that Jesus, it's kind of like he encompassed 50-50% the feminine and masculine. I think that's cool. I would say probably, there's going to be there's still a difference, right? So maybe it's more 55-45, but you see, so that's something I changed my view on more recently. And the last thing I put that's kind of more just like fitness, health related, is fasting. When I got into fasting, as I think many of us who did a whole snake diet thing, that's how we learned about fasting. I think many of us got a little brainwashed by cold speed, like it's terrible to eat too often, and everyone has to fast. You're basically, like, he even said himself he's gonna do 48 till the day he dies, which of course didn't hold up because it doesn't make sense. So I love fasting, but I've just seen that there's so many nuances to it. Even eating, someone like me, if I eat it happens now. I would say now when I'm bulking, 3 to 5 times per day, depending on the day, what it looks like. It's not that it's bad to eat 5 times per day if you eat good food and you exercise and do all the other stuff, But I think people should have the ability, you shouldn't have to go snacking all that. It's a different, being addicted, and just, for me, it's purely like, how will I even get in all the food if I don't split it up now? As I've gotten more fit too and have a higher energy expenditure, even than when I started fasting, even if I was decently fit, So while I still love fasting as a tool, I see it more now as a tool to implement at certain times at different, like, intensities, if you will. And it's just not for everyone all the time. And I say hello to self. And always, as always, I have to clarify for the one watching afterwards, it's someone in the chat that calls themselves self. So it's not me that just see myself on the screen and be, oh, hello, self. But okay, you guys have not asked anything yet. You haven't sent any super chat to support me. I would appreciate that. If you get any value out of my content at all, I would appreciate that support. Okay, which one is the next one I want to take? I guess let's take, okay, my take on veganism. I was asked by my favorite vegan, I'd say, about my take on veganism, and I'll say, I'll say, because I'm gonna, if she's not watching now, I don't think so, but she is going to afterwards. I say that some things I will say here might not apply to you, so I'm giving my general take, but she's actually, the good. I would always, I'll say right away, I'm not a believer into the vegan diet at all, but if someone admits that they don't think it's the healthiest diet, and they don't act all morally superior about it, then that would be my only, issue, that I wish they would eat meat because I think it would be better for them, but I can't be really, upset about it in any way. But my take on veganism is, first of all, that it's a highly emotional position to be in, to care so much for animals that you're willing to sacrifice your well-being for it. Like, of course, you're supposed to not be brutal and just don't care about how you treat animals, but you have to recognize that the reasons human beings are human beings is because we've been eating meat. That's what we've been eating throughout most of our time here on the earth, right? And so to neglect your health and well-being for out of empathy, you have too much empathy at that point. And it's also, it's not because a lot of vegans, even that admit that it's not the healthiest diet, they would say, but it's not for health I do it, it's because, yeah, for ethical reasons, and I just don't agree that it's more ethical. Just because there's no animal on your plate right now does not mean that no animals died for your food. In fact, there are many, I don't have the examples on top of my head, but I know there are many like popular vegan foods that, like the avocados, for instance. I know they've just destroyed forests where a lot of animals live to have these avocado fields, for instance. And like, oh yeah, great, you're eating the avocado. It's not an animal. What took for you to get that avocado? So I don't agree that it's more ethical at all, really. Of course, nutrient deficiencies, it's just it's going to happen. It's like the B vitamins, definitely. Vitamin A, I think, will be an issue. Or many things are going to be hard. Also, all the anti-nutrients. Even if you eat a good vegan diet, you're going to get a lot of the opposite. A lot of plants, animals, they defend themselves by fighting you or running away from you, for instance. The plants, they really have no other defense than being toxic for you, so that you will have a bad reaction and don't eat them anymore. This doesn't go for all plants, of course, but you see that you're both going to get nutrient deficiencies at some point from being vegan, and get the opposite, like kind of being poisoned, or the oxalates would be an example. Those things in some green vegetables that bind different micronutrients like calcium, for instance, so that you don't take it up, it just passes through you and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's really my position. I don't care if someone is a vegan and they have a good attitude about it. I would recommend, if they ask me, that they eat meat, but I don't like this being all like a lot of people, they find something to push down to make themselves feel better. I'm just not on that bandwagon to be all like, haha, the dumb vegans. Yeah, I will make fun of a dumb vegan, but I just don't see the point of being like that all over. And I actually say the few positive things that I can come up with. From what I know, don't ask me more about this because I don't have the details on it. But to my understanding, it can be a good intervention for heart disease. I guess to avoid some animal fats for a while when you are in that spot. And I'll still say this is not really a good thing about a vegan diet like that, but a good vegan diet based on whole foods, that will still be better than the standard American diet that also contains meat with just a bunch of crap. It's a lot about the quality of the diet overall, right? No matter if that's a vegan diet, carnivore diet, a omnivore diet, keto diet, the quality of the foods are going to matter the most. Take a little break from the questions I have. I see you put some things here. Don said, because it was related there, I eat mostly vegan because of health reason, but eating healthy and vegan only works with supplements. Yeah, that's right. But does it really work then, though? It's like you're using crutches to make the diet work, is what I feel like. Eating meat also healthy. Yeah, I can only agree. And that's the thing. That's my main issue with the vegan diet is I'm not carnivore. I've never been pro just eating meat. but it is the most important thing to eat. It just is for us, you know. So many important micronutrients that are more bioavailable in the animal foods, you know. The animal fats and protein, so important. I feel like you're in such a huge deficit on the vegan diet, and you're doing everything to just patch, you know, how do you say that? You know, where the leaks, you're trying to patch them everywhere, you know, and at some point, probably it's gonna just into some health issue for you. Sebastian Svartling says, "Ja men tjenare, haft en bra dag eller?" He is asking if I had a good day. Yeah, I did. I went up very early and went to train legs with a guy, and I was on his podcast afterwards, and we just hung out a bit and shot the shit, I guess you say. So I mostly did that, and then I've been doing some work. I've been writing some programs for clients. I've been preparing a bit for the stream. I actually started watching. I don't watch a lot of stuff lately. I'm more into putting out than taking in. There will be times when I watch stuff more, but I actually started watching here Piers Morgan interview Kanye West. That is kind of interesting. I'm like halfway through. So absolutely a good day. Hade du en bra dag, Sebastian? And Patricia. I've been there. At some point, I was watching a lot of Cole's videos and I was feeling guilty when I was eating even good quality, nutritious food. It fucked my relationship with food for a while. Well, you know, there's always a balance with that. It's good if a guy like Cole can, you know, force you to remind yourself to not eat so fucking much sometimes. But yeah, like you say, you're eating even good food and you're not supposed to feel bad about that, you know. Eating is something we have to eat, right? So yeah, I think that was the problem, really. That it's not only didn't only go on about the quality of the foods you eat. It's just eating in general, you know. And of course, some people are quite ridiculous with how they just have to snack on stuff all the time. And that's kind of my position, you know. It's one thing if you're like a guy like myself, you train a lot, you know, trying to put on weight. It's kind of hard to make it happen in a good way without eating more often. But I can. If I wanted to fast tomorrow, I could, no problem, you know. Uh, so it's yeah, I agree. It's not good that people just start feeling guilty about eating whatsoever. It's kind of good if you feel some guilt if you start eating crap. You know, you know, it serves a purpose. You can listen to the guilt and be like, I should, you know, I should do something different here. But yeah, no good if you're eating a nice steak and some potatoes and feel bad about that. That you of course shouldn't. Okay, that's it for the chat for now. Remind you can support me with a super chat if you get anything out of what I say here at all. Or check out the Solar Store, link in the description. Or become a Patreon for as little as $1 per month if you choose to do so. I know Sebastian here is a Patreon. I'm pretty sure Don is Martin and he's a patron too, right? So I appreciate you guys. Okay, the next one is a long one. It's someone asked about my go-to tips for building muscle. And it's a little difficult for a guy like me because I love talking about these things, but it's my go-to tips. It's like how simple do I keep it, you know, or how long do I go on? So I just put down some notes here. But yeah, there's so much that could be added still. But okay, I would start off, we want to build muscle. Okay, you gotta hit the gym, obviously. Compound exercises will be your friend. We're talking specifically about building muscle, say generally in the 5 to 8 rep range. You can do it at other, but I'm you know, I'm trying to keep it simple, not cover every single nuance. I had to tell myself to do this because I want to elaborate on every little side tangent, you know. But compound exercises, 5 to 8 rep range. And your friends will be like the deadlift, Romanian deadlifts, squats, weighted chin-ups, weighted dips, barbell rows, seal rows, the bench press, of course, shoulder press. And then you want to add some second tier exercises, you know, not necessarily isolated exercises, but not compounds maybe, but the mid-tier exercises, multi-joint exercises still. So, you know, stuff like dumbbell exercise, dumbbell presses, lat pull downs, split squats, stuff like that. And then you choose isolated exercises like, you know, curls or lateral raises or leg extensions. based on your weaknesses. I'm gonna go on, but I see Don gave me €5 here with a super chat and said, "Have to go. Have a good stream." Appreciate that, man. Appreciate you dropping by many times recently and talking to me in the chat, and I appreciate the super chat, of course. Thanks a lot, man. So let's go on with the muscle building. Progressive overload I put with 3 exclamation marks, because this is something that to me was obvious. Even though I didn't know a whole lot about training, I understood that I had to, if I make something up now, if I can only do 60 kilos on the bench press right now, and I want to be able to do twice as much, 120, I can't just be benching 60 kilos and never adding weight and expect to, how would I get to 120 if I don't? But a lot of people, when they ask me, like, I feel like nothing's happening. When I ask, like, so do you have any system to, challenge yourself more and more? Do you use progressive overload? A lot of people, surprisingly many people, say they don't. And you have to understand that progressive overload, the easiest way to think about it is, of course, adding weight to the bar or taking higher dumbbells, moving up a notch on the machine, or upping the reps with the same weight. But there are many ways to do it. You could change your form so it's more difficult. You could make the range of motion longer and stuff like that. But you just have to have this idea, I need to be doing more over time. You just have to know that. Then I put train to failure or close to it. This is a big debate with all especially like the science-based guys, the intellectual people. It's not that I completely throw studies out the window, but I see them as inspiration. And I do the true science, the true studies myself in the gym, And in my experience, train to failure or close to it is superior for building muscle. You don't have to take every single set to failure, but you should be, like on an exercise, the last set at least should be to failure. The exceptions will be the biggest, heaviest exercises like deadlifts and squats. So you don't really, still the intensity has to be high enough, but you don't necessarily have to grind out a failed rep in a squat or deadlift. You will get away with saving a couple in the tank, But you see, the general point is train fucking hard and to failure. And that little, hit muscles twice per week is just a good rule of thumb. You could make progress hitting them once per week. You could probably come up with a split where you hit it 3 times, but it's just unlikely that will be more effective for building muscle than twice per week. So it's just a good rule to know that if a beginner, I think the optimal, all my beginner clients, I put on 2 full body workouts per week so that they hit every muscle twice, So yeah, it's basically good, twice per week is better than 1 most of the time. 3 times per week is not necessarily better than 2. Then I put just form over weight, especially for the purpose of building muscle and not just getting strong, Form is going to be more important, My leg development, for instance, I feel like it became better now when I didn't have bad form before, but I did like sort of a more of a powerlifting squat, but it was a high bar squat, but I did it to parallel, 90 degrees. And now I've lowered the weight much and I go all the way down. And I feel like even though it's a smaller number on the bar, but I still feel like I build more muscle because it's a longer range of motion, right? So form is going to be more important than weight. Drop your ego, basically, if you want to build muscle. And then I put consistency over perfection. That's the thing also. A lot of people, they try to they have the ambitious plan with everything they do. They might stick to it for a couple of weeks. Then something happens and they go off program and then they lost it, And being consistent, having some shitty workouts or some incomplete workouts, but then getting back on it and then trying to lay it as much as possible, that will always be better than trying to be perfect. Trying to be perfect is often, either you put too high expectation on yourself, so when you go off that, you just feel like a failure and quit, or you just end up procrastinating. You never feel ready because I need to know the perfect plan. I need to know the perfect way to do things. Just remember that guys like me, it was my consistency and willing to not be good and try things and adapt. That's why I get results, not because I just knew exactly what to do from the start and was perfect at it, right? I'm not perfect now either. Yeah, and then we have some stuff that outside the training, the last things. Calorie surplus is always going to be superior for putting on muscle if you're not very fat, because then your calorie surplus is right here. You could just eat enough protein. High quality foods with carbs, in my opinion, the good kinds of carbs, rice, potatoes, fruit, honey, animal fats and protein. That's just gonna, yeah, it's gonna, the better, you see it as when you stimulate in the gym. It's like you plant the seed in the gym, and then like how well do you take care of your plant, how the quality of the water the soil you put the seed in, so that would be the food, but also the sleep, of course, sleeping 6 to 8 hours at least, and don't go to bed or go to sleep later than 10 at night, preferably, the first couple of hours there before midnight are the most, they are worth more and they're highest quality, so you see, like 7 hours from 10 till 5 in the morning could be better than like 8 hours from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. And yeah, I mean, sunlight will help a lot too. Like sunlight, high quality nutrition and sleep will always go over any supplement. Absolutely, But then again, with all this, when I'm talking about the sleep and stuff, remember what I said. The consistency over perfection, always. It's not that you can't build muscle just because you sleep less than optimal. It's not that you can't build muscle because your diet is not on point yet, etc. So yeah, that's me trying to be short about building muscle. If you have any more questions, please say them now. Please like if you haven't already. Please consider supporting me and the channel and further content with a super chat, or check out the Solar store, the merch store, or consider becoming a Patreon, please, guys. I appreciate it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I did everything on that page, right? Yeah. Okay, so I also got a question, just how to get stronger. And since I did get the question about building muscle, it was so general from some guy. I don't know the guy, he's never interacted with me before. So I chose to interpret this as just not stronger in the gym, just stronger as a person. So the first thing I put was do things that are difficult, and it's really think bigger than just, I put, to be hard, be tough. You have to do tough things. And the typical things are stuff like training, heavy training, cold showers, sauna, meditate, just sit in stillness with your thoughts and feelings, being bored, uncomfortable like that. Fast, these will be the more typical things, but think anything that's hard and difficult for you, anything you intrinsically feel like not doing that is not just stupid, like, oh, like jump from a cliff, you don't feel like doing, of course not, but things that would be all right to do, but that feel scary or uncomfortable to you. On the other side of doing those things is always becoming less scared and becoming stronger. So I put some just random example here, face fear of judgment, like do silly things in public, like I do. I go out and dance, I did that yesterday, by the way, live on Instagram this time. Because it doesn't really bother anyone, but I will look silly and people go, oh, what's that guy up to? And I just prove to myself that, hey, it's not so bad to just enjoy myself and have fun, and I feel more comfortable. I get stronger in that sense. And I put posts on social media, again, on the topic of what I was ranting about before, put yourself out there. There was a great rant from Wes Watson. I recommend you, if you like me, you probably like that guy. He's one of my biggest role models for sure. He had a reel on Instagram recently, when he said that the people that are on social media and don't post are the people with the biggest egos, because they don't dare to put themselves out there and face the risk of being criticized or someone saying that's dumb, what you're doing there is dumb, And that's what I get from, some people in my lifetime here. I'm not going to be too specific about who, but I think that I'm so ego because I put out so much about myself. I show myself and I talk about myself and what I do, But am I just sitting here and bragging about how fucking great I am and ask you to kiss my ass all the time? Or am I sharing my experiences to try to help you? Am I being vulnerable and putting out all the, I put myself in a position to be criticized for a lot of things, and I also tell you about my weaknesses and the ways I used to be, So it's actually the person sitting on the sideline calling you ego while they don't risk anything, And then, because they feel it's of course a projection. They're scared little cowards. They don't dare to put themselves out there. So they find something wrong with someone else that does it too. But the point with this little side tangent, really, a good way to face fear of judgment is just put yourself out there. And the social media is a good tool for it. I'm actually trying to get more clients to do it, and I've been happy lately. I've had more of my clients put out, doing uncommon sense stuff, be walking bare feet in the grass in the sun and stuff, and tag me so I can share them. And I really, all my clients that watch this, I want you to do this. You help me by just helping me get content to share your stuff, but you help yourself too, and the people around you. You inspire them just like I inspire you. So it's a great thing to do actually. Then as with social media, some are like, oh no, social media is toxic, blah, blah, blah. It depends on what you do with it, always, right? And another thing I could have difficult conversations, speak up, stand up for yourself, It's not always the time to take every single confrontation. Sometimes you are actually tactical and not just a coward. But speaking out if we are mistreated somehow, that's gonna make you stronger. You're gonna feel good about yourself, that you don't just take people's shit. You're someone that doesn't take shit. You will tell them. Doesn't mean that you have to be angry and scream, but when instead of avoiding difficult conversations with people, if you have an issue with a friend, you don't really like some things they do around you, and you feel like they walk over your boundaries, well, stand up for yourself. You're gonna get stronger when you learn to do that. It's something I've had to learn a lot, guys. I always gave more in many relationships, and I let my boundaries be stepped on while I didn't do so on the other people. So when I've learned to set boundaries and speak out up for myself, I become much stronger. So yeah, I put at the end, do things you don't want to do, fail and try again. All these things are gonna make you stronger. Okay, still nothing new in the chat, right? No? I have a bunch of notifications here though. Ah, oh, that was funny. Someone just commented on a video, but I'll not read that now. Okay. Okay, we have some shorter questions then. I'd like it if you could ask some more things, guys, because I don't have 22 minutes worth of questions here, and I want to go for an hour. Set that as a standard, and longer, of course, if you guys contribute. It's again, guys, you can help produce content here via me. You just have to say stuff in the chat. That's all you have to do. You see, guys? So easy for you. I have to talk. I'm sweating just from talking. Look, can you see it? Yeah, you see, I'm sweating from the big monologue I have to hold for you guys here. So the least you can do is help yourself and me by asking a question. Okay, someone asked, should I learn to eat light or have big meals? I get sleepy when I eat big and it interrupts my day. So this is the typical, if it's a coaching client, then I can have more of a back and forth. It's much easier because it depends, like learn to eat light. Is it that that sounds like it's like you're out of control binging almost, like learn to eat light. So what I'd say is, I talked about this with someone today actually, that someone that just if he eats too much, it affects him a lot. Like he loses energy, la 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 la. And so for him, it just works better to eat a bit slower and a bit more often, and he eats good food still, and that's when he feels the best. This is again the nuance with fasting and that it's not for everyone. Me myself, I realized that even when I was not a very healthy individual, it's always kind of been better for me to not eat quite as frequently and eat bigger meals. Like when I was living here, by the way, I'm at my parents' place because they're away, babysitting the cats, but they're sleepy right now. If we're lucky, they make a guest appearance at the end of the stream. But what was I saying? Yeah, when I was playing online poker, I was up all night playing, and then I slept till somewhere in the middle of the day, and I just kind of went down to the shitty ass, I don't know how you say that, korvkiosken, but basically like a burger joint, bought this shitty burger and fries and that, with something extra sauce and shit, and I ate this huge junk food meal, and sometimes I think that was all that I ate on the day, and I didn't even think about it. I remember I was quite skinny for a while when I was doing that, I guess it went in periods when I didn't go out drinking as much and stuff. I got skinny and then I got skinny fat. But the point here really is you have to figure out what works for you. If you always, even if you eat good food and you eat big and it affects you to a degree that it interrupts the rest of your day, I think the answer is quite obvious, Like, yeah, try smaller meals, Then, of course, some people need to actually kind of train themselves to eat bigger. If it's ridiculous, the amount that makes you sleepy, then I would say kind of force it for a bit until you adapt. Or if you don't, I guess you can't, but you can always see. I I learned to eat even bigger. I say I'm naturally someone who it just works well to eat bigger and less frequently when I'm not bulking like I'm doing right now, right? And then it's like three kind of big meals and two quite small. But uh, yeah, yeah. When I was experimenting with the fasting, when it was more new to me, I tried OMAD, and it's really, for some people, it's a good way of doing things. I think for most people, it should be a temporary thing, not a permanent thing. But, for a guy like myself, even back then, even though I didn't have quite the energy expenditure I have now, it was quite ridiculous the amount of food I had to eat in a sitting, especially eating clean. And I remember that, I figured it out that that's just not for me. And I remember that was something even before I dared to be too skeptical about the fasting, it just didn't make sense to me to be telling everyone to eat OMAD because I literally passed out many times after having this huge meal. And I couldn't feel good about training until several hours later in the day. And this is at a time when I had less going on in my life. I had just little part-time jobs and stuff, so I could do these things as an experiment. I did that for a month basically, and I'd say like every other day or so I took a nap after the food because I was just like so long, long little rant to a short question, really. But I mean, the end point is it depends. Be smart, experiment, figure out what works for you. It sounds to me like you should try eating little smaller meals. Maybe take one meal out and yeah, just have them a little bit smaller. If you feel better doing it that way, I mean, it depends on what your goal is here too. I guess I could go on for so. Are you trying to be in the deficit? And la 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 la. But for now, yes, try eating slightly smaller meals. And then there was a question that I had a hard time understanding really what it meant. But when's the latest I can eat in a day so I don't wake up in the middle of the night? And like it's to me, it feels like how I interpret this question is that we all know, right, that when we're fasting, for instance, it can be an issue with sleep, and so eating closer to bedtime, even with intermittent fasting, that could help you sleep, basically. And but the fact that we know we probably shouldn't eat a whole bunch of big meal right before bed, it might interrupt our sleep. We're supposed to, our body temperature is supposed to go down. We're supposed to get cooler. And of course, if you're digesting a huge meal, that's going to be difficult. So I guess I feel like the question is, I want to eat something so I can sleep easier, but I understand I shouldn't do it too close to bed. So when would that be the time to do it? So what I'll say is, I think a general rule of thumb is if you have just an average sized meal, like keep it at least a couple of hours away from when you sleep. I've experimented with these things lately. I guess I should do videos about these little things too sometimes. But if you have like a smaller meal, let's say 500 calories or less, I think you'd probably do fine, even if it's 1 hour before bed. But the opposite is true. If you eat like a huge meal, like 500 grams of beef with potatoes or something, I think 2 hours even is too close to bed. You're still gonna be digesting that, being hot from the food like that, What I'll say is that the last little hack you can do that I've heard other people do, that I guess I tried it a few times myself, but it's not something I do regularly. But it's just having a little bit of carbs to calm the brain down. So have a spoon of honey or something right before you go to bed, because it's too little to really start a huge digestive process and you get all hot from it. But it might calm your sympathetic nervous system and your brain down a bit. So that could be something. I see someone said something here, right? Are you taking George Guzman? Are you taking probiotics and digestive enzymes? Do you feel it may be beneficial when ingesting larger meals? For example, on a muscle bulking phase? Thanks in advance. That's a decent question. Decent. I mean, it's a good question. What I mean is, it's something I've been thinking about a little bit recently, but I don't have like a great answer to. I don't really take probiotics because I feel like we haven't really. It's so complex with the gut bacteria. People that talk as if they know a lot about it. I feel like we don't. The science isn't all there, and it's one of those things that I think it's so complicated that it's going to be difficult for us to ever get a very exact knowledge about it, and a lot of these probiotics, I don't think they are truly scientifically backed. So what I try to do is eat some probiotic foods, just to, yeah, I feel like it aids digestion when I have some sauerkraut I like, and pickles are my go-tos, my favorites. I don't really take digestive enzymes. I wouldn't be against it or anything. I just always like to think more, think about how you can make these things happen with food before you add something like a supplement or something. Um, do I feel like it may be beneficial when ingesting larger meals? Maybe, maybe. To be honest, I've noticed that my digestion works a bit worse now that I'm bulking, even though I'm eating pretty much the same kinds of foods. Um, yeah, my just bowel movements are a little bit more irregular and stuff like that. I don't really have stomach pains or bloated gut or something, but I just feel like, yeah, my gut was like a clockwork when I was more on a maintenance routine this summer. So there's something to that. Um, uh, uh, uh. So while I don't have specific inputs on use this digestive enzyme or this, I think having I feel like it helps having fermented foods. Maybe some probiotic supplements could help. Digestive enzymes, maybe, but I just have nothing more specific than that. But I have noticed that the digestion gets more difficult as you eat more food, even if it's good quality foods. Um, but also, experiment with the foods you're eating. And something I noticed, by the way, my solar shake, if you go to my solar night diet video, you can see exactly what that is. For a while, that's usually my first meal of the day. And for a while, I just changed things around and I had it as my last meal. And I noticed for some reason when I did it like that, even though everything was the same foods, it was just the order was switched. My yeah, the poo, it came out much worse, basically. So there's always stuff you can try, experiment. Robert Mashi, how often do you work out? What is your workout plan like? Well, that is actually an interesting question. Um, I've been thinking about doing a video about that, about my current workout program. I'm kind of proud of it. Just as I've come up with a Solar Night Apprentice program. That is something that I would kind of recommend to myself if I started over. And by the way, I call it apprentice because it's good for beginners, but you could use it even well into the intermediate and maybe even advanced stages if you wanted to do it on a lower training frequency, 3 times per week. That one is, but that's a mix of an upper lower split and a full body split. That's an upper, a lower, and a full body. So you hit everything twice, but with 3 workouts. And so for myself, my favorite splits has been either upper lower twice per week of each, so 4 workouts, and maybe throw in some extra weak point where I train some arms. I feel like my arms are a weak point aesthetically. So when we're thinking bodybuilding, but so I liked upper lower, but I also like push pull legs twice per week, which would be 6 workouts per week. But I can see issues like pros and cons with both, and I've been like, of course I can switch back and forth, but I've been thinking like, how can I feel good? Like I check all the boxes at once, and so I came up with it. I let the push pull legs and the upper lower have a beautiful love child. So my workout split looks like this. We go through the week starting Monday. Upper, lower, rest. Push, pull, legs, rest, repeat. So you see, we hit all muscles twice. The lower and legs is, of course, they could be called the same, but just to make the point how I put these two splits together. And so I hit all the upper body muscles twice, but there's one day when I train, both push and pull movements on the same day, and then we have the one push day and the one pull day. So I love this. And yeah, that's my workout, your workout plan. Like, I mean, I can't go into all the exercise. I can tell you just vague, not vaguely, but loosely, like the compounds I'm focusing on right now. I'm doing chin-ups, weighted chin-ups at quite low reps right now. I'm having more of a strength phase right now. But I always, even after low rep sets, like 2, 3, 4, 5 reps, a lot of threes for me right now. But I like always to throw in one higher rep set at the end, get some hypertrophic stimulus too. Weighted chin-ups, I'm trying to get up. I do bench pressing. I'm trying. I like to hit the 140 kilo bench press at the end of the year. I don't really care about the regular bench press so much, I've noticed. I like the Larsen press, just not having the legs in the floor, because I'm not a power lifter, so why should I care really about using my legs when I press with my chest? I do ass to grass, post squats, stiff-legged deadlifts, so Romanian deadlifts, but not with I tap it to the floor right now. I do the incline bench press. I'm training for the one-arm chin-up on my pull day. And then I have the leg day I have today is sort of a random lighter leg day, because I'm kind of rehabbing my hip too. But that's, I'll probably make at some point. We'll see if I have the time now before I go to Greece. I've set a date for that, by the way, guys. I'll be moving to Greece on the 14th of November, but I will do a longer, maybe even a stream, maybe a whole freaking stream with streaming software, so I can show you some stuff on the screen at the same time about that. But that's a kind of an overview of my current workout plan. Patricia, how do you know if you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced in the gym? So there are standards for that. If you go and see Jeff Nipper channel, for instance, I'm not a huge fan or anything, but it is a good way to get the scientific side of things, or a good platform, good channel to get that. And I like the guy. I think Jeff seems like a good guy, but he has more. Really, it's up to us, right? What we think is a beginner, intermediate, or advanced. But there are certain standards for that. One way you could do it, I'd say it's not perfect, but there's a page called Strength Level, homepage, website, strengthlevel.com. And if you put in like your age, your weight, put in an exercise and weight and reps on that, it will calculate it. If you don't have a 1 rep max yourself, it will calculate it into that, and then according to some standards, it will say you're this. I think it gives me too low on certain things. But could we put in something here? I guess it's no fun when we can't see it on the screen anyway. But you can go do that for yourself. Strengthlevel.com. But then, does it really matter? I'm not saying that you shouldn't ask this, but I guess those categories like that, it can be a good way to sort of find out where do I think I am generally, but then how do you feel, how good are you at what you do, how strong are you, compared to other people you see in the gym and that and that, what are your numbers like? I'd say that I am mostly advanced and not elite. That's the last thing, and I think I'll never go, because those numbers are quite ridiculous, and you have to, I have to, even if strength and hypertrophy is something I value highly, it's not the only thing, so yeah. I think if you're just a recreational training person with high ambition, does it for health and wants to be, there's good Swedish words I want to say. You say several-sided, be a jack of all trades, then probably advanced, intermediate or advanced is a good target for you. Did we have any? Oh yeah, we have one last funny question from Simon. He asks, do you use the solarium and why? I'm not sure if it's called solarium in English, but these booths that tanning booths basically. And so I say I literally never used one of those. I remember that I looked into it this winter to try and find out, is it a substitute for the sun when we don't get as much here? To my understanding, some like, do you say dermatologists, skin doctors, kind of recommend that you do it a little bit in the dark winter. But when you look into it too, there UV light, the daylight, there are different kinds of it, I guess, in lack of, I don't know all the terminology, but UVA and UVB. And I think it was that in the solarium you get mostly the UVA, and it won't produce so much vitamin D in you. And if you think about it, when you see those people that's been in tanning booths a lot, they kind of look like, they have a different color to their skin, but it doesn't really look like healthy. They are not like, shining in that way that like a really healthy, just suntan individual does. So I don't think it's a complete substitute for the sun. But, you could speculate that if you take your vitamin D, maybe even the UVA and the little UVB you get from the tanning booth helps, because I know that just supplementing with vitamin D is not enough. You need light for it to get activated in you still. So maybe, as a little supplement to even taking the vitamin D, there could be a point in that. Otherwise, it's really just, aesthetics. If you think that kind of tan looks good, I don't really think it does, Those people, they just look orange, kind of. And I'll say, I guess he asked me, I mean, of course, because I do the whole solar night shtick, and I think the sun is very important, and I hammer down on it a lot. But maybe because in this lighting, I'd say it doesn't really give fairness to the amount, the level of tan I still have for being a white Swede, and now autumn coming around and the sun's, it's way lower and that. I think it's because I max the sun so much, and I still go out as much as I can in the sun. Like for instance, yesterday I had my one-arm chin-up workout, and it works. I have rings, so it does work to go do in the outside gym, and it was a nice day. So I was out there doing it. I get some sun exposure, even though it's not quite as strong at all now. I think it does, it's maintenance. It's always like even with the training, you have to put in more work to make progress, but maintaining what you have is easier. Probably kind of a similar effect that I sun maxed a lot this summer, so even getting some sun now makes the tan stay around more. But one thing I'll say too, actually, about the color of my skin is the amount of carrots I eat help, truly. I have not really looked into exactly how that works. It's just something I've noticed and heard about before. But it sort of makes your skin a little bit more yellow, orangish, but orange-ish in a way, but not in that way. I feel like the tanning booth does. Yeah. So, I have not used the solarium. I actually thought about if I want to do that, if my tan faded away too much before I go to Greece. Because I kind of want to come as the tan, blonde, blue-eyed guy. Because, this look is quite rare over there. But I probably don't. I'm kind of happy with the level of tan right now. And the sun will be stronger there anyway. The sun gains will come back quickly. And then, of course, I'll just make the point that it's not really about looking good, right? It's about health. But as we know, or as you know, if you listen closely to what I say, all physically attractive traits are a direct expression of health or an imitation thereof. So when you notice this and you know, you see through the fake things. Like, for instance, before, relating back to something I said at the start of the stream, when I didn't really have a belief in God and just thought of us as like animals, I could, for instance, think that fake tits was attractive because I knew fully well that, yeah, it's like I'm getting exploited. I know these are fake, and I know I really think tits look good for biological reasons, but even I don't care because I get the same physical response. I think they look good in that way. Now, when I've changed my priority, how I look at things, I kind of just get disgusted by things like this, or not disgusted like in that way, but, think of it, foreign plastic objects in there, it's weird. Same with a tan. But when you look good because you are good, not because you imitate good, being good looks good. Being attractive is attractive, truly being it, not imitating it. We'll end on that note, guys. I think, oh, no, we had one. This is a typical Sebastian question, I feel like. Sebastian actually at some point put out a little video with him. I met him here once. Uh, and he tips on måttlighet. I tend to overdo food and caffeine. So måttlighet is like, it's not really, there's not really one word, I think. Moderation, moderateness, it got translated to once when I tried to translate it. I mean, uh, try to do it more. Like, for instance, I'm not really totally moderate with my snooze yet, but I have started to lower my consumption. So that's what you do. If you can't quit something that you think you don't even need to quit caffeine or snooze 100%, but you should have a more consumption, right? If you're not able to just go there right now, I'm just making something up now. If you have 5 cups of coffee per day, and you think 2 would be good, but right now you're just unable to go there, well then gradually, try to make it to 4, or do something like, you mix your coffee, you have 50-50 caffeine free and with caffeine, do whatever. Think progressive overload, but in this case progressive underload in a sense, right? If you can't get to where you'd like to be immediately, then just start moving there. And don't, when I say I feel like it's a typical Sebastian question, is because Sebastian likes to ask and know what he should do, but he likes less to do. But I've seen he's doing some really good stuff, and he's tagged me on Instagram, by the way. So, but I just say, any tips on måttlighet? It's kind of like, yeah, do it less, and gradually do it so until you end up at a level you're happy with. Have this consistency in progressive underload in this case, because now we're not talking about adding something, we're talking about removing. But you see how it's the same kind of process, just little steps in the right direction. Swen Livin, hello there, hello there. You made me think of the Obi-Wan, hello there, hello there, that meme. It's from the movie, of course, the film. But guys, I think we're gonna end the stream there because we got one last question for Sebastian. Thanks, bro. And Sven Living showed up, but just said hello. I can tell you at the end, there will be no stream next Saturday, because I will be going away. Well, tack man, he says. Well, tack. I will be going away for an introspective 3-day fast, a throwback fast on the island where I did my first dry fast. It's not going to be a dry fast, it's going to be saltwater, but it's going to be a sort of a dopamine fast. I'm not going to be bringing my phone, so I'm going to make sure I have all my work stuff sorted out, reschedule the client calls I have on the weekend so I can get them out of the way. And I'll be going out to the island to fast by myself. Use as little electricity as possible. Maybe I'll have some lamps on, but I'm also going to take the clock on the wall there, put down, so I don't even see the time, just judge the time by the daylight, And I'm going to be out there without snooze, by the way. That's why I started talking about it too, right? Because speaking about making it less, the fasts I've noticed really help with they do help scrub out even fasting from food helps scrub out all dopamine receptors a bit, so it actually reduces any addiction when you just fast like that. So it's in part that, but also that I'm just gonna spend 3 days with myself. The first half is gonna suck, especially without the nicotine, and then I think I'm probably gonna feel pretty damn good towards the end. And so what I think about doing, because this is gonna be Thursday through Sunday, maybe I'll have this stream on Sunday instead. I just don't want to put that pressure on myself that I've said that I'm going to do it. It depends on how I feel on that day, I'd say it's very likely, though, that I feel great and want to share how my experience was. If I don't do the stream, I'll do it later the week after, of course. But so that's something, you that are still around, you can know that this stream, if it happens next week, probably, but it's not sure, but then it's on the Sunday at 6 p.m. Central European time. And yeah, that's it, guys. Sven Levin said, it's all right, might hop on next time on time. Haha. Yeah, 6 p.m., but Sunday next week, otherwise on Saturday, 6 p.m. George Guzman, good luck and Godspeed on your fast. Well, I appreciate that, Guzman. Much appreciated. Thank you, everyone. Thanks again to Don for the super chat. Thank you for those who brought the questions and just input in the chat. Thanks to those who did that on beforehand too, that watch the stream now. And yeah, guys, I will see you in videos in the week, and then maybe on the breaking day of breaking the introspective fast. Okay, guys, I will see you later. Peace.